Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so fresh off homework on the Indiana Pacers, and right now the Pacers have won 3 out of their last 5 games. The last one was against the Golden State Warriors, and they really shot well against the Warriors, 40% or more. I think it was 41%, something like that, from behind the arc. Deal is this: you're gonna have to score points against the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton's on his team, one of the best players in the world when it comes to getting assists and not turning the ball over. But he was in a massive shooting slump prior to the Golden State game. He was doing 1 for 9, 1 for 9, 1 for 6. It was terrible. But since the Detroit game where he went 1 for 4, he brought down his shots in that game. They won against the Detroit Pistons, and he went into Golden State, went 4 for 8. So he's, I would say, officially out of that shooting slump. And it's imperative that we guard him from behind the arc, but also look out for him to have another 1 for 9 or something like that. You could come out of a shooting slump, but when you're shooting as poorly as he did, it can very easily go left, especially on the road. So that's something I'm paying attention to. He had one good shooting game, but out of the last 5 games, you know what I mean? The rest of them games, he bricked just about everything he shot from behind the arc. So that's a big deal when you're considering what Tyrese Halliburton brings to the table. You got to pay attention to this team. It's guards. That's really what it is. T.J. McConnell, Ben Shepherd, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Naismith. They got guards. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton. Their guard situation is very serious. Last time we saw Andrew Nembhard, he locked us down defensively and hit the buzzer shot to win the game in our building. Now, of course, we did play them in the in-season tournament championship, but that doesn't quote unquote count in the standings and everything. All the stats that we had, Anthony Davis had a monster game, all types of stuff. It did not literally go toward anything statistically. They don't even acknowledge it as us playing them this season. So this is technically our first matchup against the Pacers, even though we literally played 4 quarters against them. But it is one of those things where you better look at what you did just the same, because it was a recipe for success. You cut out their ability to do what it is that they did comfortably. I thought we game planned against that team really nicely in the championship game. And as a result, we were able to succeed. Now, tonight could be a little different because obviously they've made some changes to their roster. They picked up a all-star in Pascal Siakam, who leads them in scoring and rebounding. So we need to be very careful with Pascal. He can go for 40 on any given night. He's averaging, I think, 26 this year. So I expect for him to have a massive role this evening. And their forward position is pretty strong, too. You're talking about Isaiah Jackson, talking about Obi Toppin, excuse me, high fly act. Definitely somebody you got to prepare in regards to the open court. He's going to dunk the ball. He's going to do it in a spectacular fashion. Who else did they have? Their center position is strong. You got what's his name? Miles Turner, who just set the franchise record for block shots in the previous game, having 5 in that game. That was I think either the all-time franchise record or this season high franchise record for blocks on the season. I'm not really sure. Speaking of records, of course, we know congratulations to our very own D'Angelo Russell for having a season record for 3-point shots. He passed Nick Van Axel in the previous game. We forgot to mention that in the post-game video, but definitely want to mention it now. When it comes to the Pacers, you just got to be very careful because they score the ball as good as anybody, man. It's one of the best offenses ever, literally. They're number 2 overall in offensive efficiency this year. And you understand that if you don't score enough points, you're probably going to lose. And we only scored 101 points in the previous matchup we had. So for us to have had the issues that we did against the Sixers without Joel Embiid, turning the ball over and finding a way to still win, we need to not turn the ball over against this pretty solid defensive team. They have defensive players on the floor. And Miles Turner, of course, Andrew Nembhard can defend, Tyrese Halliburton can defend. So they don't play great team defense, but they do have some key defenders that could steal the ball from you. So you got to be careful with this team. Aaron Naismith, those guys, they stretch the floor. So this is a team that's hot and cold from behind the arc. Granted, their best player has been in the slump, but since snapping out of it, they really shot down the Golden State Warriors in spectacular fashion, really. So this is a team that you take very seriously, man. They're fighting. They're in the 6th spot. They're trying not to fall into the play-in tournament, so they need to win this game. They need to win every game, just like we do. And we want to get gain some ground against this team, against the Golden State Warriors specifically. I'm trying to say, in beating this team, we will help ourselves, especially if the Warriors lose to the Wolves tonight. So that's a big deal, man. We got to look around at the Rockets. They're quickly gaining ground as well. They won their game yesterday, dropping 147 on Chicago. The Suns had their victory last night, I believe, against the Spurs. The Kings won their game in spectacular buzzer-beating fashion, if I'm not mistaken. So we just got to be very careful. As the teams around us are winning games, we need to continue to stay on the winning side of things as well. Now back to the Pacers. As I said, I think they've won 3 of their last 5. I did a little homework on them. They had a similar turnover situation against the Brooklyn Nets. I think the Brooklyn Nets turned the ball over 21 times with 13 steals that the Pacers forced. That's the exact same number that we had against the Sixers. 13 steals, 21 turnovers. So we need not take it lightly as it pertains to going up against the Pacers, because they can do the exact same things to us that they did to the Brooklyn Nets, that the Sixers did to us, etc. It can happen. So don't turn the ball over tonight, Lakers. We got to get our act together. Braun had 8 turnovers of his own. D'Lo had 5. Austin had like 3 or 4. We just need to just simply don't. Now the way we need to approach the Pacers is to try to out-rebound them. It's very important that they do that. The Golden State Warriors did out-rebound them and still lost. So you got to shoot well. You got to score the ball against this team. But crashing the boards is important, because when you're going up against Isaiah Jackson, going up against Pascal Siakam, obviously Obi Toppin and Turner and all these guys, you just know that they're going to rebound the ball. That's what it is. Jarris Walker's back there somewhere, even though they don't play him. They wasted a 6th overall draft pick on him, and they don't even use him, which I think is just irritating. Don't know when he's going to get his opportunity with Pascal now in place, but it is what it is, man. He's also somebody that could crash the boards and play defense as well. Their team would be a lot better defensively if they utilize him more, because that's really what his strength is. As a smaller size power forward defensive player who could stretch the floor and power through people, but he doesn't get any playing time, so it doesn't matter. Either way, they're starting to play Ben Shepherd, their guard, that they also picked up in a late round of the first. I think it was a late first round or early second round this past draft. He's starting to get about 20 minutes a game, so we're going to get a chance to see how talented Ben Shepherd is as well. He didn't play in the championship game, not that I saw. So, we're going to get a look at some of these guys, man. Nembhard, of course. Naismith, all of these guys are very talented. TJ McConnell, as I always tell you guys, he's like another Jose Alvarado. If you're not paying attention, he's going to steal the ball from you while you're not looking, man. We know this. I always forget TJ McConnell's name. I finally have it in my mind, but I always remember him as a player. He is feisty, man, and he could put up all-star numbers from the bench at any given moment. So they always have a fantastic facilitating point guard on the floor, whether their main point guard Halliburton's out there or not, because TJ can come in and do the same stuff to a degree. Defensively, he could do whatever he needs to do to be feisty, chase you around, steal, all kinds of stuff. Offensively, he can score a little bit, but he's looking to facilitate, and he's looking to do it regularly. And if you don't find yourself careful, he'll walk away with like 12, 13 assists, facilitating the ball to everybody on the floor. And they have plenty of offensive talent for him to get the ball too. So him and Halliburton, you got to take them extremely seriously, both of them. So yeah, this ain't a night to relax. Believe me, the Pacers are not that kind of team. They're not overly talented defensively, obviously, but offensively they can score with the best of them. And if you don't score with them, you will lose. There's no question about that. You don't want to try laying the ball up over Miles Turner. As we said, shot blocker extraordinaire. He can also stretch the floor to shoot the three very well. We know Miles Turner. We were rumored to have him in our sights in regards to trades last season, but of course, he's still a Pacer, has always been a Pacer, and they paid him, so it doesn't look like he's going to be moving anytime soon. So, it is what it is. We're going to have to continue to try to go up against this guy twice a year, and I know he's going to have that in his mind, that we were a team that he's been rumored to go to pretty much his whole career. Coming into our building, he's going to want to play well. Now, we also see this team on Friday in their building on this road trip. So we're going to get plenty of looks at this team, man. They also had a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They lost by 4. Halliburton was 1 for 9 from behind the arc. They couldn't throw a rock in the ocean. And the Cleveland Cavaliers were able to push past them despite being undermanned. 2 of their stars were out. They still beat this Pacer team. So this Pacer team isn't a world beater squad, but they do have some extreme strengths, some superpowers on the offensive end. And we got to respect that. Forcing Halliburton into turnovers is ideal, man. It's one of the things we were able to do in the championship game, in the in-season tournament. I think we forced 4 turnovers out of him. So that's rare, given the fact that he rarely does turn the ball over. So we need to understand that getting the ball out of his hands goes a long way in helping ourselves have a victory against this team. This unit also, the Pacers played against the Chicago Bulls. I think it was an overtime game. I believe they lost that game. They shot the ball poorly, if I'm not mistaken. And DeMar DeRozan, I think, maybe beat them at the buzzer. 47-point victory. I believe that might have been a game where he won at the buzzer. I'm not really sure, but just kind of rehashing some of the games that they've played. So they've had some dog fights lately, and they've also had some big victories. The Pistons. The game before their last game at Golden State, they had a nice, easy win against the Pistons' third unit. Pistons are starting to rest people to make sure that they tank. And, of course, they got some other issues. Ausar Thompson has blood clots there in Detroit, so I forgot to report on that. But, get well soon, Ausar down there in Detroit. But all in all, they have a team here with the Pacers that have kind of had hot and cold opponents. Good team, bad team, good team, bad team. And they've been doing a good job for the most part, shooting poorly but finding ways to compete. So now that they're coming off a good shooting night against Golden State, I expect for them to carry that over into our building. And so they're still on a long road trip. They got the Clippers coming up next, and we just need to take advantage of a team that's probably having road fatigue. That Western Conference road trip. I'm sure they can't wait to get back home later this week, but they'll see us when they do. And so we need to set the tone this week and get the early victory to make them angry about that and come back around and beat them again. Make it an easy 3-0 sweep, including that championship. So that's what it is. That's where my head is when it comes to the Pacers. We've already shown that we can dominate this basketball team early in the season. Granted, they did not have a whole Pascal Siakam, who we do need to account for right now. That is not minor. You're talking about a fantastic rebounder and scorer, and he can get some assists off himself. So, if you're not prepared to throw a lot of defense at him, then prepare for him to beat you. That's really what it comes down to. He wasn't a part of that, and I'm pretty sure he feels like if he were, it wouldn't have went down like that. So that's a very important component to the situation. You don't go up against this opponent with a certain level of respect. Having him being an NBA champion in this league, he's gonna bring some fire to you. So that's something we know. It's a very talented Pacer team, playoff team that does not want to fall into the play-in tournament. So that's very much what it is that we're going up against tonight. So that's really what I have to say. The Los Angeles Lakers, like I said, we played against the Philadelphia 76ers, are probably the ugliest game we've won this season, with the turnovers and some of the other stuff that was going on out there with the Philadelphia 76ers just forcing steals and just mucking up the game real bad. We somehow found a way to win, and we were pleased with that, but it wasn't anything to cry home about. We must play better against the Pacers if we have any chance of success tonight. We've won 3 of our last 5 as well, if I'm not mistaken, 2 in a row. So we're pretty pleased about beating the Atlanta Hawks in a game where the Hawks shot very poorly, and we were able to have a big game out of Anthony Davis. We just need AD to continue to play well, man. That's really what it comes down to. He's been he had struggled some against Sacramento and of course against the Denver Nuggets and Golden State Warriors. He was able to he had to leave the game with the eye injury. So, he's back on track. That injury is healed up, and we need him to continue to play the way he's been playing these last two. That's important, against the Pacers, Miles Turner and those guys. He's gonna have to have a big game, stay out of early foul trouble, that sort of thing. We're very happy with Spencer Dinwiddie as well. In the previous game, he had 11 points. I think that might have been his season high with our team, and played some hellacious defense against their guards, Philadelphia there. So we need him to continue to kind of stay on that momentum and just continue to play better, get more comfortable in our role. I read somewhere that he said that we're asking him to be Reggie Bullock. I couldn't agree more. I think some people mistaken that statement with him trying to throw shots at Reggie Bullock. He wasn't. He was just simply saying Reggie Bullock has a certain role in this league where he's a 3-and-D guy. You ask him to play significant defense and then huddle the corner and hit threes. And that is not Spencer Dinwiddie's game, but it is the role we're asking him to play. And I think that's what he meant by saying that. And that's a Darvin thing, man. As we always say, we just want Darvin to give people, look at what people do and then put them in position to do that. Don't have them just trying to slot perfectly in your system and having them try to be somebody they're not, which is something that happens a lot. So hopefully that's not what we see tonight. And we can start letting Spencer Dinwiddie kind of control the ball a little bit and be himself. So that's something I wanted to say as well. The Lakers are missing some guys, as we know. Colin Castleton is still dealing with the wrist. Jalen Hood-Schifino is now with the back injury out for the season. We haven't heard anything new on Vanderbilt or Gabe Vincent other than they could be coming back. They could not. We don't know. I think it's up in the air at this point. We did have our guy Cam Reddish return in the last game. He played some pretty good defense, missed some corner threes, but that's to be expected. Fresh off injury, but he did play great defense. It's good to have him back. Hopefully he'll be good to go tonight. Braun and AD are a game time decision, but of course we expect him to play. And of course Christian Wood appears to be out for the season as well with this surgery of the knees. He's definitely out for the season. So we're missing all kinds of guys. We're dealing with all kinds of injuries, but that's what it's been all year. Gabe Vincent, as I said, hopefully he'll be back very soon. And I think he's the one that's likely to return first, but I'm not honestly really sure if any of those guys will be back in the regular season. So that's just what it is. We'll continue to move forward. Taurean Prince is also a game time decision with personal reasons for missing the previous matchup. I don't know what the circumstance is other than it was his birthday. That's all I know. But he may be back tonight. He may not. And we'll see later today if he's available at 7 o'clock when this game tips off. So, yeah, man, that's what it is. Your Lakers are going to be wearing their whites on Sunday. Of course, we always wear whites on the weekend. And the Pacers look like they're going to be wearing charcoal and yellow. I think that's charcoal. I think in the previous years that used to be a navy colored uniform, but I think they changed it to charcoal or black. It's hard to read what that color is, but it looks like charcoal and yellow to me. So that's what I'm gonna call it. But yeah, should be a good, high-paced, high-energy, high-scoring basketball game tonight versus the Pacers. And if we do what we're supposed to do, man, I think we have a good shot at beating this team not only today but on Friday. We've already proven we can dominate this basketball team this season, and that's what it really comes down to. Pascal or no Pascal, we know what the formula is for beating this team, and we need to bring it to them. They're not the greatest defensive team, so we should be able to score on them, and we just need to take good shots and utilize what our strengths are, and like I said, don't have people trying to be somebody they're not out there. That's really what it is. Everybody should know their role at this point, this far into the season. With having us missing this many players for this long, shouldn't be any surprises at this point. Everybody should know who they are in this rotation, and that's really what it is. There's only 12 games left. We need to win out. As I said, we got teams hot on your tail and ahead of you who could be continuing to win, and we need to take care of our business to put pressure on them, and may the best team fall in place. But I can tell you this: Some of those teams that we're going up against, if they fall out of the playoffs, they keep their pick. Us, we don't. So we should have a little more emphasis on trying to keep in this play-in tournament playoff picture, so that we don't give the New Orleans Pelicans a fantastic pick. So that's really what it is, man. That's where we're at, man. Hopefully the Lakers can take care of business before going on the road. This road trip is going to be a 6-game road trip coming up. So I believe this is the last home game before that begins. And we got work to do, man. The patients are coming in. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching.